Okay, so today you are starting reading Anthem by Ayn Rand. This is our first class novel. We are going to be reading this book for the rest of the first quarter. I wanted to go over the project with you that you'll be working on as you read the book, so you have a good idea of what is going on, what all of these assignments are building up to. And I wanted to share with you the rubric and go over a couple things with it. Okay. So ultimately, step 4, which is the research-based presentation, will be what all 3 of these assignments lead up to. There will be little mini assignments in between each of these, but these 3, the question crafting, the annotated bibliography, and the mini literature review, are what add up to form your research-based presentation. The better you do on each of these 3 mini assignments, the easier it will be for your group to put together your final presentation. Today, we are focusing on the question crafting assignment. The annotated bibliography, we will start in a couple class periods. I will go over with you APA formatting, the outline I have for each of your paragraphs that you write. I know some of you have done an annotated bibliography before. Not all of you have. That is okay. We are going to talk about it. And then the mini literature review will be based off of your annotated bibliography. That should come together pretty easily, depending on how well you do on the annotated bibliography. So really the goal for you with each of these assignments is to aim for quality work. It is okay to make mistakes. It is okay to need revision time. It is okay to ask me questions and to ask your friends questions in class. But what you're aiming to do is turn in quality work. So let's talk about the rubric for the final project. There are different criteria. I want to just point out the highlights of each one. So the first criteria has to do with your research question and connection to Anthem. Today, you are working on your research question. Next class, we will refine our questions that we create today in our groups. So we want to make sure that our question is focused, it is clear, and it is thought-provoking. It should be tied to a big idea, which I will provide you. You should be demonstrating an understanding of how the question connects to Anthem through thoughtful explanation. This can be done through commentary. We have been talking about commentary for the last few classes as we revise and we write new things. Commentary is really what is going to help you connect your research question to the text. We are also going to have a criteria on research and source use. So each group member is going to be responsible for summarizing their assigned article effectively. We're going to go over what that means. Every group member will have an article that they choose from the annotated bibliography, which will contribute to the final project. We will talk about that next class. I want you to focus mostly on that research question today. But again, the connections to the question from the article should be well supported and thoughtful. And then our next criteria is synthesis and claim. We want to make sure that we are joining all of our ideas and sources together clearly to form a well-reasoned claim, which addresses your question. It should be supported by evidence from sources that you found on your own through research, and then also Anthem. That leads into the textual evidence and reflection criteria. When you are looking for quotes to use in your final project, this is where that little information booklet we are going to be adding to every single time we read is going to come in handy. That information handbook that you have, you should be adding quotes to that stick out to you every time you read. That would also be a very helpful annotation guide to use. So if you want to be annotating your book plus filling out the information booklet, you're more than welcome to. I would suggest doing both. The more quotes you find related to your big question, the easier it will be to pull quotes that support your claims at the end of the day. And then this last criteria, we're going to talk about a little more when we get closer to creating slides. But this is really practice for when you create your slides on your own for your research projects on the AP test. Your slides need to be clear, visually engaging, and then organized logically. We've been talking a little bit about organization. We're going to keep talking about it. When it comes to making clear and visually engaging slides, that is a whole other story, and we're going to go into depth. We're going to look at some examples of what clear and engaging slides really means, how much text should be on a slide, what kind of visuals we should put on a slide. If your group decides that you are not totally comfortable with making your own slides and you're just kind of worried about the whole situation, I have a template that I'm going to upload for you to fill out so that your final slides are hopefully very clear and visually engaging, because I have created a template for you. For groups that would like to do your own slides, you're more than welcome to. In the instructions for this final project assignment, I have uploaded criteria for your entire slideshow. So as long as you follow the criteria, you should be good to go. And then one thing I want to highlight is this last little sentence, second to last sentence in the presentation and group work criteria, which says all group members contribute meaningfully and fulfill roles. You are going to be able to pick your own groups for this project. With that comes a personal responsibility that is put on you all. If you know that you love having your friend in class, but you know that maybe your work is not going to be the best if your friend is in your group, do not create a group with your friend. Everybody's work in the group contributes to everybody's final grade. Pick your groups carefully. For people that are absent, I'm just going to place you into groups. Obviously, you'll have some kind of say, but it just depends on what groups are open. Groups, because of our small class sizes in both of my sections of AP Seminar, I need y'all to form groups of 3 to 4, 4 being like the absolute max, 3 being ideal. Okay, so today what you are doing in your groups is examining COSTA's levels of questioning. There are 3 different levels: gathering, processing, and applying. I am going to give you some examples of questions using Animal Farm, which all of you should be familiar with. Most of you read it last year. If you're not familiar with it, that's okay. These examples are still very helpful. So level 1, the gathering. These are questions that ask you just for the basics. So basic facts, basic information. They don't really go into depth. There's not much analysis going on. My example for this level is what rules govern Animal Farm once the humans are thrown out. This is just simply asking me to list those commandments that the animals wrote once they overthrew the farm and created Animal Farm. The level 2 processing is questions that require comparing, analyzing, or inferring. To infer is like to get context clues and then come to a conclusion. You all are very good at inferring. Even if you don't know you're doing it, you're still doing it. And we're going to practice it more. But these questions go into a little bit more depth. So my example is, how does the animals noticing the changes in the commandments challenge the expectations of Animal Farm society? Notice how in this question, it is asking you to, 1, find changes, compare those changes against the original commandments. And then they are asking you to go one step further and analyze how those changes are challenging what the expectations of this new society the animals have created are. So it is asking you to both compare and then analyze. And then the last level is applying. When we apply, we are creating questions that connect ideas to broader themes, real world issues, or a philosophy. Last class, we talked about some philosophical, moral, and political terms that you are more than welcome to and should be using when you do these level 3 questions. So reference those vocabulary words from last time. They are also posted in Google Classroom. Reference them. Think about real world issues. We've been practicing this with our whiteboard work for the last couple classes. My example for this level of questioning is, how might Orwell value individual freedoms over collective control? or why might Orwell? My example for this is why might Orwell value individual freedoms over collective control? So this is asking you to just connect to some sort of broad issue or philosophy. For philosophy on this question, I see the words collective control. I might go ahead and connect this to the idea of collectivism. And I might go into some more depth and find some research on that. These are your big ideas for Anthem. I am providing you with these on your AP test. It's a little bit of a different situation. We'll talk about that. But for right now, as practice, I am giving you the 5 big ideas. I know that it says each of the big ideas, the wording is a little off. Really, what I'd like for you to do in your group, look at these big ideas. If you find like 2 that you maybe want to write some questions for, go ahead. If you would like to just pick one of these big ideas and base your question off that big idea today, you are more than welcome to do so. So it's up to you how many you'd like to connect to, but each question should only be connecting to one big idea. You should not have any research questions that address 2 big ideas. So like my research question, if I say, wow, I really like big idea 1 and 4, I'm going to do one question that addresses 1 and one question that addresses 4, not one question that addresses both 1 and 4. Our big ideas are the power of knowledge and self-directed learning, individual voice versus collective silence, the journey of identity and self-ownership, ethics and rebellion, and then the role of stories and philosophy in shaping human purpose. Alrighty, so this is your to-do list for class today. Get into groups of 3 or 4. Fill out the group's Google form. Only one person from each group needs to fill out this group's Google form. That is totally fine, but I need you to fill this out so I know who is in a group with who. You are then going to read through chapters 1 through 2 of Anthem in your groups. You can read aloud to each other or alone. It is up to you. However, best will get you through these chapters by the end of class. And then as you read, you are filling out the question crafting Google form. Everybody in the group needs to turn in this question crafting form. All the group members can have the same answers. So again, for this first one, the group's Google form, one person from each group, fill it out, turn it in. I don't care, it's fine. One member per group is fine. For this last one, the question crafting Google form, everybody in your group, so all members are turning in the same form, but all members can have the same answers. That is totally fine. By the end of class, you should have both completed and turned in. They need to be turned in. This is not homework. You are not taking this home. You should be done. Your homework is reading. This is something that I wanted to go over with you really quickly. I know that we have a page count of choice reading for every single week. Because we're starting a class novel and I don't want to overwhelm you with so much reading, even though I love reading and I would gladly read like 300 pages a week if I were you, it is okay if that is not something you can do. All I'm asking is that you aim to read at least 70 pages out of your page count that we have of choice reading every week. And this does not include the reading we do for Anthem. I will give you class time most of the time to read Anthem, but there will be some days where we just do not have class time to read Anthem together. So sometimes you will have homework for our class reading. With that being the case, I'm going to reduce our page count. If you want to read more than 70 pages from your count every week, you are more than welcome to do so. But everybody's goal should be at least 70 pages of choice reading a week. Any questions you have about that? Email me. I'm checking my email. I'm in a meeting today, but I'm still here. Next class, we are going to finish our question crafting with a little part 2 follow-up to refine those questions, but I need those forms today filled out.